Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay DaCosta, one half of the Nitty Gritty Show, and we are back after a long break. We took the summer off. We kept on contemplating coming back throughout the summer, and it was like, we outside, we having fun. So we that's what we did. We had fun, and we enjoyed ourselves, and now it's kind of like back to work. School, the kids are back in school, right? Shout out to all the kids back in school. I know in Tennessee, my kids, they went back like 2 weeks ago, but Maryland kids go back tomorrow. I think DC kids don't even go back until September. So we're back in that, back to school process. So shout out to all the kids going. My wife is with me in spirit. She's just in the other room. She's watching on the stream. So, she'll probably shout you out at some point. But it's good to be back. I hope everybody's been doing well. Of course, we had to come back at a time such like this because we are about to embark on another election year. Election 2024, right? We already seen that the GOP had their first Republican primary debates here this past, I think that was Tuesday or Wednesday. They have that. And we seen Vivek Ramaswamy. He got butchered for having no experience, which was interesting because Trump had no experience, but half of those people attacking his experience, i.e. Mike Pence and Chris Christie, supported Trump, who had no experience. So maybe Trump just had a little bit more money, and that's why they supported him. I don't know. Just calling a spade a spade. But anyways, we've seen all that stuff take place. Before I go any further, let me shout out our business sponsor for this duration of this conversation we'll be having for the next, maybe month or two or three. Depends on how far we decide to go with it. But this is going to be a continual conversation. And we'll harp on certain aspects of this conversation. But anyway, shout out to Granny Sue Records. Granny Sue Records, and that's, we utilize a little nepotism and stuff like that in this format. That is my dad's business. Record company. They have a lot of different types of acts. They have everything from country to jazz, some pop stuff. They even got some rappers now over there at Granny Sue. So shout out to Granny Sue. They just want to make good music and help people put their dreams out there through that medium. So shout out to Granny Sue Records. You can find them on Facebook at Granny Sue Records LLC. Also, you can go to YouTube to Granny Sue Records. And if you want to message them, if you want to sign on as an artist, if you want to get them to help you with media time and all that kind of stuff, you can reach out to them. You can email them at outar2@yahoo.com. Outar, depending on who's pronouncing it. That is OUTAR, the number 2 at yahoo.com. Hit them up. Who knows? You might be the next big thing. Especially if you're out there in the Midwest, Clarksville, Tennessee, Nashville. It really don't matter where you are. They actually have an artist they work with that's out there in London right now. So doesn't matter where you are, but if you want to make music and you want a company that can support those dreams, holla at Granny Sue Records. They down. You make good music, they'll rock with you. You know what I'm saying? Just conduct yourself with some acumen about yourself and everything. But yeah, reach out to Granny Sue Records. Wanted to shout them out. And before we get into the nitty gritty of the topic today, or how we're going to start a series of topics, want to talk about some current news. Obviously, in current news, I think everybody's excited about the fact that Trump got locked up. They released a mugshot. That all this privilege, and not just Trump. I know everybody think I'm a pro-Democrat podcast. I'm pro what's right. So I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. If you will pass legislation that benefits, number one, my family, but then I think generally American families as a whole, I could get behind you. I don't care if you rock the red or if you rock the blue. You can ride an elephant, you can ride a donkey. If you will write, or you don't have to claim any of them. You could be an independent. But if you will put together policy that will make America better for real, I can get behind you. I don't really care. But anyways, as I was saying, it was nice to see that mugshot. I don't like the privilege that some of these presidents and people near the president, same thing, Hunter Biden, that's bullcrap. The fact that they were trying to get the judge to sign off on pardons for cases that haven't been fully investigated yet was crazy. Because we already know that a young minority boy, or I even go as far as to say a young white boy with no financial resources, meaning you live in a trailer park or you live somewhere middle of America where your family doesn't have money or doesn't have resources, because we always assume all white people have resources. That is not true. 35% of white people actually live below the poverty line. They actually have the largest sector of people living under the poverty line throughout all of America, believe it or not. So this idea that only black people or minority people face economic challenges is not true. And I want to break that cycle of thought. It's not just black folks struggling in America. White people are very much well struggling too. And this is why Martin Luther King sought towards the time of his death to have a poor people's march, because he realized the importance of, in order to change the system, we have to start showing how so many of us are a lot alike, more so than what we want to agree with. And the truth of the matter is, if you live in impoverished areas, those are places that have predatory lending. They have things that would distract from your attention, liquor stores, all kind of things that would take money out your pocket and won't add wealth. White people deal with that too. That's the truth of the matter. If you live in Clarksville, Tennessee, you live in one of these small towns or whatever somewhere across, you've seen white folks that ain't necessarily living in the lap of luxury all the time. So just wanted to put it out there. Poverty is not a black issue. It's a people issue. It may disproportionately affect black people at times because systematic racism and those foundations. We're going to get into a little bit of that today. But we're not going to act as if these same systems don't end up cannibalizing their own. And if you want to say their own other white people, it does happen. Shout out. Oh, I see Herman in the chat. I'll bring up Granny Sue Records one more time. They're our sponsor as we go through this conversation about us versus them. This won't be just a one episode situation. We're actually going to have various conversations about relationships, politics, money, and what we can do to help our people. When I say our people, I am specifically speaking to African Americans, Christian Americans. But once again, our issues are just not unique to us. Hispanics, Middle Eastern, white, you name it, face a lot of the same things. So this will be helpful information to everyone. All right. But once again, I want to shout out Granny Sue Records. Once again, you can find Granny Sue Records LLC on Facebook. They have their own YouTube page. And once again, you can contact their owner at Outar2. That's O-U-T-A-R. Some people say Utar, but O-U-T-A-R2 at yahoo.com. Hit them up. You know, trying to get a record deal. You're trying to, maybe do some collaborations with some musical projects. Hit them up. They'll take good care of you. Also, in some current news, outside of the president being indicted on 91 charges and finally getting his mugshot released, if someone is entrepreneurial, they'll take that shirt and make some shirts. Just put whatever on it and make some money. That's just some free game out there for y'all. I'm just saying, like, somebody gonna do it. Might as well be you. But anyways, I wanted to shout out we have the track and field worlds going on right now. Katrina's been keeping up with all of these coming out of Budapest right now. She's been super excited about this. For you guys that don't know, Katrina used to run track in high school. So she, track and field is her thing. So this 2023 World Track and Field Championship in Budapest has been like top of mind for her. And I want to shout out Sha'Carri Richardson, man. What a comeback story, right? We seen what she went through a few years back. Tested positive for weed, which is crazy that testing positive for weed would keep you from participating in the Olympics. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, people, I don't know. I've never tried weed before, but it's always been my understanding that weed doesn't necessarily enhance you physically. It normally will take away from you physically. So the fact that smoking weed would keep you from running the Olympics, my thing is, if you can smoke weed and still beat somebody in a race, I mean, you was running at a disadvantage. But maybe I'm wrong because, like I said, that kind of thing is not what I do. But I just assume if you smoking weed and you can still beat somebody, that's pretty amazing. I felt the same way about Michael Phelps. It's not a color thing for me. I just never understood how weed is an enhancement towards running. I don't know. Somebody can hit me up in the chat and let me know about that. I don't know. I never understood that one. I can understand taking performance enhancement drugs, PEDs, but, and shout out to Herman. He said, yes, Sha'Carri, what a comeback. Yeah, that was an amazing comeback. So she won the women's 100 meter. right? She got gold in that. And shout out to Jamaica, man. Blop, 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 blop. Where my air horns at? Where my air horns at? Yeah, shout out to Jamaica. Jamaica definitely did their thing. They were able to obviously win a bunch of these races as well. They came in Sharika Jackson and Shelly Ann Fraser Price, and amazing competitors. They got the silver and gold. Women's 200, a lot of the same names again. Sharika Jackson from Jamaica ended up winning that. Then we had Gabby Thomas from the USA, and then Sha'Carri Richardson once again with the bronze, right? Amazing comeback story there. Women's 400, well, this is where you don't see a lot of us, right? When you start talking about the women's 400, 800, 1500, that's going to typically be European countries and African countries. That's all I see on the list is like Kenya. Well, in the women's 800, we had Athene Mu. She got the bronze. But most of these categories, so I'm not going to go all through them. It's like the Netherlands, Ethiopia, more Ethiopia. Like, you get it? Like, when you start going on those long distance runs, you're not going to see too many Americans there. It is what it is, right? But shout out to North Africa representing, because they definitely did that. Shout out to Danielle Williams, though, in the women's 100 hurdles. She got the gold. Also, we seen, I guess her name is Kenai Harrison. She got the bronze. Also, in the women's hurdles, 400 hurdles, Shamira Little representing in silver place with the silver medal, should I say. And then the women's, so this is a big one. This is like Katrina's favorite. The 4x100 relay. Man, we won it by like the skin of our teeth. I think Sha'Carri was actually the anchor for that run. But the U.S. got the gold. Jamaica got the silver. So shout out Jamaica, man, right? And then once again, we seen Jamaica pull the silver out for the women's 4x4. And what's some other ones I wanted to shout out real quick? I wanted to shout out my homeboy, what's his name? Noah Lyles. He got gold in it was the 100 meter and the 200 meter. We saw Quincy Hall get the bronze in the 400 meter. And then after that, once again, them long races, you see a whole lot of like North African countries winning those. But then the men's 4x1. So we had a strong showing out. Men's 4x1, once again, that was the USA. Somehow Italy came in silver. I would have never seen that one coming. Now, the Italians was running. I guess that the run of the bulls that they do out there, it must have paid off. They must have pretended that a bull was behind them, because they definitely did their thing. They came in second with the silver, and then Jamaica with the bronze. No surprise there. The men, we also won the men's 4x400 relay. So shout out to the U.S. on that. And Jamaica didn't place. They came in fourth place, surprisingly. But we did our thing in track and field. We really did. We've been doing a really good job. So shout out to that. Hopefully this is some preview of what we might see in the Olympics, I hope. So our future in the Olympics is looking really, really good. So we'll see what happens there. But, on with the show. Let me pull my stuff in. I gotta stay on track. I ain't done this in a while, y'all. So I'm not as slick as I was just like 4 months ago. You feel me? But we back. So anyways, once again, today's show, we're going to focus on the fact that we have an upcoming election year, right? And we know, and you've seen it in the description, but there's going to be a lot of talk. And I'm so tired of talk, right? There's going to be a lot of talk about race and various inequalities, people trying to get your vote, right? And we're going to hear it from the Republicans. They're going to say, well, the Democrats has done nothing for you, so you might as well come at us. The Democrats is going to say, if you don't vote for us, we ain't black. Yeah, Biden, we ain't forgot about that, right? And people are going to say, oh, this is the vote of your lives, right? People are going to say, no, reparations is the biggest problem. We need our money. I'm not saying I disagree with that. There's going to be some people that say, no, folks need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, right? And at some point, we do have to take personal responsibility. And the point of this conversation today is to introduce a series of conversations around, well, whose fault really is it? Is it us? Or is it them? Is the reason why we're last in marriage, last in economic wealth, last in household median income, is that because we're not doing enough? Is it purely because the white man is holding us down? We need to really break that down. Like, at what point do we take responsibility, but at what point do we get the help? Here's the caveat. I'm going to give you the cheat code in advance. I don't think there's no wrong answer. I think Whatever you think the answer is, what we want to discuss is, what do we do to go about that? If it's personal responsibility, then how do we take personal responsibility and how do we move forward? If you think that, no, we do need some help outside of us, okay, that's fine too. What are the steps to getting that help? What we basically want to do is drive a conversation around solutions. And we want to be real. It's like, if you're going to place blame, at least know how to assess what the issue is and what's the strategy to fixing said blame. If you think it's the government, all right, well, is that the federal level? Is it at the state level? Is it at the local municipality level? Is it at the county level? Right? And if it is identified at the county level, with your county executive or maybe your county sheriff, then are you voting? Are you meeting these people to understand how they're going to adhere to the law? If it's the federal courts, then are you voting at the federal level to make sure your president will appoint judges that will show favor on the issues you care about? So once again, we want to pinpoint not just the issues, but it's like once we see the issues, then how about we start bringing solutions to the table of what we can do or what you decide to do? And feel free to get active in the chat. If you have a solution, I'll read it and we can even discuss it a little bit, right? At large. But we want to really get to this conversation of what do you think the problem is? Cheat code, no wrong answer. And if you understand what the problem is, what do you think a simple solution is? Or maybe it's a complex solution. And what are you going to do to work towards it? That's what we're trying to accomplish here at the Nitty Gritty Show. When we get down to the nitty gritty of it all, that's really just it. What's wrong, and then what are we going to do to fix it? Because we've had enough talk. We just had the 60th March on Washington. This is one of the first big marches I actually didn't even go to. Because I've been to every one. I've marched for my life. I've been had tear gas thrown at me, all kind of stuff at some of the other marches, like Freddie Gray in Baltimore. And the thing is, I've still seen young black men die afterwards. And I'm not trying to say marching is not a bad thing. But the point of marching and demonstration is to draw attention to an issue. And once we have the attention, then it's to move towards actual legislative action. That's what the whole point of going across the Pettus Bridge was about when they marched on Selma. They wanted to get on television without any doubt that, hey, we as black people, we are peacefully protesting. We're not starting trouble like they say when they stick the dogs on us. Because the problem was back then, you only had like 3 or 4 media outlets. And they were all controlled by a certain amount of people. So what happens is we have these situations where black people are getting sprayed in the street by water hoses and attacked on by dogs. I mean, what was being said by the news media, right? Because there was an agenda and propaganda behind the words putting out. They would always show half the story. They would show the black person pushing back, but they didn't show the fact that a bunch of white people mobbed on them. It would be almost like the situation we had in Montgomery, Alabama. Imagine if there was no cameras there. All you would have seen on television would have been a family of white people who got the crap beat out of them. But what you wouldn't have seen is that a black man was over there on that dock doing his job, and then he was ferociously attacked by this ignorant crowd of people that felt too privileged to move their boat out the way, even though it wasn't supposed to be docked there, right? And what the media used to do back in the 50s and the 60s, they would only show you the second half of the story. They would only show you the black boy swimming across the water. They're only going to show you the older black man swinging that chair, right? So then it looks like a group of black people jumping up on this family, and oh my God, this poor family. But then you don't see the before picture, which is this horrible, disillusioned family beating up on one black man. And that was the point of us going across Pettus Bridge. We wanted to show people, like, listen, when we get spit on, when we're being harassed, right, at these various diners because they say white only or colored only, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were peacefully protesting. It was rude, ignorant people, because not all white people are rude and ignorant, but there were some. Oh, we're not going to act like there weren't any, right? They were beating the crap out of black folks who were peacefully protesting, and our voices weren't being heard. The Pettus Bridge was one of the first times we were able to see documented that these people peacefully walked over, singing "Someday We Will Overcome," and they got the living daylights beat out of them for no reason at all. For no reason at all, other than saying, I want access to a clean water fountain. I want to be able to use a decent bathroom that's not on the other side of a campus, right? I want to be able to sit in the front seat of the bus. If I'm here first, why do I have to get up out my seat for the white person, right? And why would a white person want that kind of privilege anyways? This is the reason now that we see so many people of color in sports. It's not necessarily that we may be built better than you. It's just that we have a harder road sometimes. And that adversity ends up working out for us in the long run, right? So if you want to be a more competitive American, you don't want a false start. You don't want a handicap. You want to actually go through all the trials and tribulations possible to become better. Right? And this is why we're challenging America to be better. This is not to beat down on white folks. This is so that we can become better as a people. Right? So that's why we're having these conversations. So as we get down to the nitty gritty of it all, because like I said, it's election season and we're going to have people promising things and saying things. I want us to be able to really know what are the real issues, what are the real numbers, and then how do we improve upon those things. Right? So I know a lot of people, if you think it's systematic racism is the biggest issue on Black America, right? Give me like a 100 in the comments or something like that, or give me a thumbs up, whatever you can. This is YouTube, so I don't know what you might have access to as far as like typing in. But if you think it's that, give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know where you guys stand. I'm curious. And we'll go on from there. But to go over this, some systematic factors that we cannot ignore, right? One is, and this is not to say we're going to place all blame on racism, white founding fathers. These are just the facts, right? So, and when we say systematic factors, we're talking about systematic racism refers to systems in place that have historical roots and current structures that disadvantage certain racial and ethnic groups. And in the U.S., this disproportionately affects Black Americans. And this is evident in a few ways. And I'm going to mention 4 that we see it in, right? One, housing, right? We've seen redlining, a practice where Black neighborhoods were marked as risky investments, led to diminished home ownership and opportunities to Black families. Even today, discrimination in lending and housing markets continue to affect Black communities. We've seen countless stories that go viral where a Black family gets a white friend to pose as the owner. And then the first evaluation, when the Black folks are there was a case in California where they only said the house was worth $900,000. Then when they got another adjuster to come in there and they had their white friends pose as the owners, the value went from $900,000 up to like $1.5 million. That's a $600,000 hike, purely because the preconceived color of who owns said house. That's wild. We see it in wealth. The wealth gap between white and Black families is a result of historical policies like the GI Bill after World War II, which was less accessible to Black soldiers, and ongoing factors such as wage disparities and employment discrimination. These are real things. Like, these are factual things we can find in our history showing what has disadvantaged Black people in some areas. Education is another one. School funding often depends on local property tax, which in lower impoverished neighborhoods, many are predominantly Black due to historical redlining and housing discrimination. This contributes to an education gap. And let me break that one down a little bit for you. This is why we see poor education even in some white schools, right? People try to say like the South is ignorant, they're not smart. But then once again, if you have a neighborhood full of trailer parks and rural areas, you're not pulling the same kind of tax dollars as a community that sits off a urban city where you have great jobs, great access to wealth, and then now, i.e. Fairfax County, i.e. Howard County, Maryland, i.e. Montgomery County, Maryland, you have a large metropolitan area. You got DC at the center, so you have a lot of money, right? Then people live in the suburbs of this said large city. And what happens is we live in those suburbs, i.e. Howard County, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland, Fairfax County, Virginia. There's a lot of tax dollars going in to fund that county. And therefore, that county could do more for schools. So therefore, you can go to Bethesda Community and it looks like a whole college. That is a public school, right? And you don't have those families that live in Bethesda saying, oh, I want to bus my kids to the magnet program available in Montgomery County, because all the magnet schools just happen to be on the east side of the county. And if you know anything about Montgomery County, Maryland, all the wealth resides on the west side of the county, not on the east side. So those programs are for those working class families that live on the east side of the county, and they're happy to send their kids to Blair. They're happy to send their kids to Einstein or JFK because it seems like an awesome opportunity in comparison to maybe the average high school in Prince George's County, which was predominantly black. It's not anymore, but it used to be just literally 2 years ago, right? So once again, you're looking at tax dollars and how those affect various schools. Like the neighborhood I live in, it's primarily rental. Now they're building a lot of houses and townhomes, so now the demographics are shifting because what happens is when you have owners pay consistent taxes and they become consistent residents. So when you're a politician, right, and you're looking for votes, you're going to focus on housing developments because those people pay taxes, they have actually bought into the property, so you need those dollars versus the renters. The average renter moves every 2 years. So therefore those votes may not stay the same. So they might be voting right now 23, 24, but they might not be here next year. So really the people you focus your attention on are the homeowners of that area. And you see this everywhere in the United States. It doesn't matter where, this is just how things work. When you look at votes, there's typically 750,000 votes per congressman or per county executive or per local state official. So when they're looking at those 75,000 votes, they're going to focus on, well, of these 75,000, how many have homeowners? These people have stake. They're going to be here for a while. These are the people that are going to get me reelected. These are going to be people that are going to push me to the next election. So I'm going to focus on them. Is it right? Not saying it's right, but this is how economics plays a part in politics and voting. And you can't ignore that. But then the other things, when we look at social economic factors that influence marriage rates, the financial stressors that disproportionately affect black communities, such as higher unemployment rates and lower wages, can put a strain on relationships. How do you start a family when the dad isn't making any money? Or when mom is doing this? And we live in a culture where we celebrate single motherhood. And this is one of those things where obviously there's some systematic factors, right? There's some brothers that say, well, the white man holding me down, I can't get a good job. Black women would say, I'm being attacked at the job, I'm the smartest on the job, but they won't promote me, so I can't get better wages. And those are all true factors. We're not taking that away. The other thing you have to look at too is, another factor is, well, if we're purposely making decisions to have children out of wedlock, and this is not to beat down on anybody that has. A couple of us has been there. Shoot, I've been divorced a few times. Right? So I'm not talking from the standpoint of looking down at anybody who's had to go through life. But as I look back over my life, sound like I'm at church, right? As I look back over my life, I can see how I could have done things better. I can see how choices I made may have led to an unfavorable outcome. And if I had been more strategic about how I was going about achieving things that I wanted out of life, maybe I wouldn't have those issues, right? That's where you have to be real about yourself. I understand that there were things in place when I lived in Tennessee, when I was applying for jobs and all of that. They're not hiring me. In one case, they say, oh, you're overqualified. In the next case, they say, oh, you're underqualified, right? And it's like, well, how do I get in? You know what I'm saying? I need the experience somewhere, right? But I already have that stress, but then I bring on the stress of relationship because I'm out here doing the do. You know what I'm saying? And then, we say, oh, you got to do the right thing. You got to go get married, right? But if you're not set to lead a family, you can have the best intentions. You can be a good guy. But what's going to be the probability of said marriage, right? So therefore, we have to, when we look at ourselves, we have to say, okay, here's the outside factors we can't control. But then we have to still look at the controllables and say, okay, well, maybe the messaging, what we're giving our young people, what we're seeing in the churches, all these different things, we have to then say, well, maybe there's a better way of, one, of what we can do, and then two, how do we get more involved with our community or with politics to help us get better wages and things of that nature? Because let's be honest, y'all, when it comes to finances, and I'm about to get into some of these financial factors that affect America, and I'm not even gonna get deep into it. That's a conversation for another day as we go through this series. But like I said, this is just to whet you guys' beak to understand what's to come in the upcoming weeks and months as we talk about this on the Nitty Gritty Show. So please, if you're watching today, I know we're just back. A lot of people probably didn't know he's coming back tonight. But please tell your friends, hey, tune into the Nitty Gritty Show Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. because they're about to be talking about some stuff. And at the same time, we about to be giving away some good information. I'm going to give you guys some addresses, some websites you can go to investing in business. And we're going to talk about strategies, how you can take this, the everyday person, and you could be a business owner. You don't have to come up with a business, right? We're going to give away some free information that a lot of people, influencers on social media, are trying to get you guys to pay $39.99 for to do an online course. And they're not probably going to give you as much information as we might during the next coming weeks. We have some of these people charging as much as $2,000 to do an 8-part series course, and you're still left without information on how to do it. Here at the Nitty Gritty Show, we're about to give it away for free. All you got to do is share it, like it, comment, tell somebody, and I'm pretty sure the stuff that we will cover today will help somebody. And even better than that, we're not know-it-alls here at the Nitty Gritty Show. I get accused of it a lot, but I'm not. I can give you resources where you can go find that information for yourself, right? This is how we better one another. So, Herman said he liked free stuff. Mamie said thank you. So, we're going to give a lot of that out. Please be watching. Please be tuning in because we're going to go over it. But once again, I was talking about finances. Let's talk about this. Black people only make up 13.6% of the U.S., y'all. 13.6%. And when we start thinking about this idea of money, right, we know that the average median income for African-American families in the United States, and the reason why we say median, little math information, the reason why I don't like using average, because average says you have to add up all the numbers in the graph. You take that total number and you divide it by the number of integers used in said graph, right? The problem with that is once you start adding in the Bill Gates of the world, once you start adding in the Oprahs and the Tyler Perrys, these people are multimillionaires worth more than sometimes 5,000 people put together. So when you add their numbers into it, it greatly skews the numbers. So you'll see that in one study, they'll say the average income right now of black women is $76,000. But that's because they're putting in Taraji P. Henson. That's because they're putting in Beyonce. That's because they're putting in Oprah. And these people are crazy multimillionaires. Rihanna's a whole billionaire, right? So when you add them to it, yeah, so-and-so working at the Piggly Wiggly or the Dollar General making $7 an hour, all of a sudden now she's like, well, you know, black women on average, we make $76,000. Slim, we know you ain't making that working at Walmart. Not as a cashier. Not at Dollar General. Not over there making hot pies at Popeyes. You feel me? So, you know, don't start looking down on people talking about, oh, yeah, because, you know, black women, we make $76,000. No, that's the average income. The median income, which is the number in the middle of said integers in that graph, is normally what you'll see more so often as a number. And when you examine that number for black households in 2021, that number was $46,000 for the average black household. Keep in mind, something that they didn't list on this, but I did research for an upcoming show that we're going to have when we talk big into the numbers, that $46,000 a lot of times is because you only have one income coming into the house for black households. We lack 2-parent households. So I know a lot of people are like, he ain't good enough. But you know what? That extra $46,000, or in this case, that extra $44,000 in wages that the average American gets in the United States would greatly boost the household income. Marriage alone would double household income on average. But because only about 25% of us roughly in the black community are married, it hurts our household numbers. So then when we're trying to qualify for grants, when we're trying to get better housing, we can't do it because the income is not showing on paper, right? A broader analysis shows that 52% of black households earn less than $50,000, while 48% make more than $50,000. And then that's going to be congested in areas like DC, military towns, right? Because typically you have a husband that's working, and normally you got the wife that at least do part-time work. And you're going to see it in other large metropolitan areas, the New York, Chicago's, Charlotte, Nashville even now, LA, places like that, right? But then we know that all of America lives in those places. So the numbers really matter. And when you look at the numbers, it's like, okay, if the average income across Americans, period, not just black, we're talking about the average personal income in the United States is $44,000, regardless of race, right? And then we see that the average household income average around 87. Then that's telling you right there that the reason why the number is exacerbated is because when you look at white people who where 50% of them are married, you see about 60% of Asians are married. So automatically, let's just assume no one's making more money. But when we see that the average is 44,000 for personal income for one person, and then it's literally doubled for household income, then that's letting you know that a key to financial success automatically, without going any further, breaking down numbers and really getting into the weeds, you can see that automatically a cheat code towards financial success and wealth in your family is simply getting married. Tying yourself to someone else willing to work. Because I know a lot of people on this, I need to be taken care of. No, baby. The average household is doing better when they work together. I seen my parents work together, and guess what? They just celebrated 37 years of marriage this past during this month of August. Shout out to my in-laws. They're on 44 years of marriage, and the two of them work together majority of their marriage. You get what I'm saying? The people who are making it happen, and we're not talking about rich people. We're talking about people who don't need their kids to take care of them because two adults work together to take care of themselves. So therefore, me, Richard, Nathaniel, Marcia, Katrina, and Chris, we don't ever have to worry about taking care of our parents because our parents did their part. Now, they didn't leave us, millions of dollars, but you know what? We can at least move wealth forward because I don't have to worry about ever moving wealth backwards to take care of Herman and Mamie or Mike and Jen because they did their part as adults. The four of them work together within their relationships, and they set up a situation to where their kids can at least make money for themselves and pass wealth down. Some of us like to talk so much trash about our parents because they didn't leave me $1 million. They didn't leave me endowment. Well, they didn't have it, baby. They didn't have it. But you know what they did do? You don't have to worry about paying for them. You're not going to have to put a GoFundMe out to bury them one day because they took care of themselves. Sometimes people should be grateful for the little blessings we have. But in the Black of America, we do have an issue, y'all. And sometimes it don't just come from white folks. Sometimes it's our own mentality. And we need to start figuring out a way to pass wealth down. We need to be appreciative of the small wins, because sometimes the small wins mean a lot. The small wins would have you not having to take your money backwards. And anybody blessed enough to move their money forward, you're blessed. You should clap your hands. Parents, job well done. I don't have to worry about paying for your house one day. I may not be able to pay off your house one day, right? But why would we do that anyways? White players, when they joined the NBA, they were perplexed when LeBron James and other black players told them, we take care of our parents. And they were just flabbergasted because it's like, yeah, I'm way richer than my parents being in the NBA, but I would never pay for my parents to have another house. They're going to live in the house they're in, but I don't ever have to worry about taking care of them. Those white players are thinking about, and it's not a selfish mindset. In the black community, we're like, oh, that's wrong. That's selfish. Why wouldn't you take care of your parents? No, that's crazy. You shouldn't have to. If your parents are grown, strong adults, you don't have to push the money backwards. They allow you to take everything you make and push it down to their grandkids, your grandkids, their great-grandkids. The Word of God says that a man leaves a legacy behind for his kids and his children's children. That means you're looking out after your children and your grandchildren. If we all started thinking about that towards wealth to say, you know what, let me set up a world where I don't have to burden my kids with any debt. That's the first stage. Then some of us work hard enough to say, I'm going to leave them my house. I already know my parents, they'll be able to leave up me and my brothers some land and a house. Maybe something else extra out of that. But I'm not depending on it because I'm an adult. My job is to work hard so that way I can leave my kids maybe a house, maybe a little bit of land, maybe a life insurance policy that can be put into a trust so that it ensures that all my grandkids go to college for free, whether it's Yale, Harvard, any HBCU. They might just go to Austin Peay like I did. Whatever the case is, they don't have to worry about being stressed about being in college because they know, oh yeah, granddad, shoot, he took care of that years ago. He made sure that we're going to be able to go to college for free at least. So they don't have to worry about student loan debt. Even if I can't make sure that they're all millionaires, at least I alleviated a couple of bills. They'll have somewhere to lay their head. And on top of that, they'll be able to get an education. And we know that having an education doesn't guarantee money, but it does greatly increase your probability to have an enhanced success in the marketplace. We've at least done that, right? And I got some amens and stuff right there in the comments. I'm happy they appreciate it, right? So, and while we're talking about money, because I'm about to close up this show, because like I said, this is more so an intro conversation to a broader, more detailed conversation we'll have from show to show. In the coming shows, we're going to really dig into this money thing. In coming shows, we're going to really talk about marriage and how that affects social economics. And in coming shows, we're going to really talk about education and how do we go about education. Does it always mean a 4-year degree? Could it be certs? What have you. In coming shows, we're going to talk about systematic foundations like reparations and all of that. Yes, we've talked about these things before, but we need to talk about them again, because where do we place the blame and how do we fix said blame? We have to talk about it. It may be redundant, but I've seen you guys watch these reality shows. They talk about the same crap all the time. We watch the same kind of movies with the same kind of violence, or the same kind of love stories with the same predictable endings. You get what I'm saying? We watch the same news where they keep on talking about the same stuff. It's COVID and forest fires. It's all kind of conspiracies. And some of them have validity because, like, let's be honest. It's kind of weird to have a mass forest fire on a tropical island and only the poor people seem to get their houses burned up. And meanwhile, I didn't see any pictures of burning trees. Throwing that information out there for fun. And then when you see things melting into the ground, that kind of extreme heat, but no trees caught on fire, that don't even sound right. But anyways, not here to talk about conspiracies, but we have to understand that we should lend a little levity to it. But once again, we will bore down all that kind of information, but then no one wants to talk about how to better one another. And while we're talking about bettering one another, let's talk about a little bit about money. I'm not going to harp on this long, but just give me like 2 minutes to sit on my soapbox. Black churches in America, and I'm going there, we're going to really go there in a future conversation, but black churches in America over the last 10 years have raised over $150 billion. Just black church. African American spending dollar has been estimated to be worth $1.2 trillion a year. A year. We're blowing $1.2 trillion a year. And you see where the money's going on Instagram. People got the fly clothes on, you know what I'm saying? They partying, they going to the all-white party. I didn't go into all-white parties this year, but I did go to an all-white church service today. Shout out to all my church people. We went to an all-white church service. Everybody was in the all-white. Me and Katrina wore our all-white. We didn't buy anything new, though, to wear all-white at church. And I appreciate the fact that Dr. Is it Felicia Brown that said it? But one of our ministers that made the comment when they were announcing this service a few weeks back. She said, hey, y'all, don't go out here and buy no new clothes for no service. Wear what you got. Be financially responsible, right? But anyways, I went to an all-white church service, but we see a lot of all-white boat rides, parties. I didn't see people travel to a lot of different places. Shout out to the folks that do travel, because I think travel is good. I'm not knocking travel, but I am knocking travel to XYZ place and you can't pay your rent or your mortgage on time. I am knocking driving around an XYZ car and you haven't bought a house and you don't have a business. I am knocking wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, Steve Madden and all these designers, and meanwhile you asking your parents to help you with your cell phone bill. I am knocking that. Let me make that very clear. I'm not knocking you having nice shoes, rocking Adidas, Y3, name brand glasses, nice cars, Teslas, Rolls Royces, all kind of Phantoms and Ghosts and all kind of and Wraiths and all kind of stuff. I'm not knocking any of that. But I am knocking it if you ain't taking care of the first thing first. There's a principle, and we're going to talk about it some more. The 3 things you do with $1. Some people have seen this go viral because I've seen clips of it from various people. First thing you do with $1, number 1, you invest it. No, I didn't say save it. I said you invest it. You put it in a REITs account. You put it in the stock market. You put it in the S&P 500. You buy some crypto with it. You put it in something where that dollar is earning money back. First thing you do with $1. Second thing you do with $1, right? You take care of your responsibilities. You pay your mortgage. get some food, right? I know a dollar doesn't do all of that, but you get what I'm saying. That second thing that dollar does is, hey, buy yourself a hot dog. Take, food, shelter, clothing, the main things we need, right? Get your bare necessities. That second dollar should be taking care of that. Putting a roof over your head, the car you need to get to work. We ain't talking about the Range Rover you got the flex. We're talking about the Toyota Corolla you drive just to make sure you get back and forth to work. If you can do it in style, great. But take care of your needs. And in those needs, tithing, charitable giving, we could put that right there in that second dollar, right? And then the third dollar, that's the do something nice for yourself. That's the add some extra sausage and pepperoni to your pizza. That's the, okay, instead of regular Nikes, we're going to go ahead and get these Jordans because I have it to do it. Because I did the first two things first. I invested in my money. I took care of my responsibilities. So now with that third dollar, go ahead, treat yourself, get a steak, go to Fleming's, go to Morton's, but act your wage. I didn't say age. I said act your W wage. Right? If you can afford the Balenciagas after you did the first two things, after you look at your money and you said, all right, some of y'all balling, you got a $10,000 check in front of you. You said, all right, I'm gonna take $2,500 of this, and I'm gonna break this money down into some real estate investment opportunities. I'm gonna buy some commercial REITs. I'm going to put some of this in the stock market. I'm gonna buy some crypto. I'm gonna take this money and make it work for me. That's biblical to all my church people, because God never blessed us with money. He doesn't bless anybody with money in the Bible. I don't see anybody in the Bible getting blessed with money. If I'm wrong, y'all correct me. But I've seen people be blessed with talents. I've seen people be blessed with abilities. I've seen people be blessed with resources to then go earn a living. I don't recall anybody being given money, though, in the Bible. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, though, because maybe I'm not as scripturally sound as the rest of you, but I don't see anybody being given money in the Bible. But I hear pastors talk about getting money all the time, and that's just not how God works. God is a God of faith without works is dead. Therefore, your real faith is saying God is going to keep on, like the woman with the cake. She said, we're going to eat our last cake and die. The prophet said, give me the cake and there'll be provisions to you. That prophet didn't come back and pay for the cake. What happened is every time she kept on looking down, there was more batter there. There was more substance there to keep on making cakes. It's like, okay, well, I fed the prophet and now there's still some more cake here. I don't know how it's stretching like this, but there's still some more cake here. The young man with the fishes and loaves. And I know the story may be allegorical. Maybe it wasn't that the fish was multiplying in the basket, but somehow when the person gave the resources, somehow more resources came. Right? The person didn't get money to go buy more fish or to buy more loaves, but somehow when they gave of theirs, more kept coming. So that's why the first thing you do is you invest your dollar. There are countless stories in the Bible, throughout life, throughout common sense that tell you, make sure that first dollar works for you. Second dollar takes care of your responsibilities. And then that third dollar, the thing we do last. Problem with Black America, we like to do it in reverse. We say with the first dollar, I deserve a vacation. Did you work for the vacation? Did you save for your vacation? Did you put some money out there that creates an income for you to go to vacation? No, you didn't, because you didn't do the first dollar right. So you say, I deserve, girl. I deserve this purse. I deserve this bag. I've been working so hard, but you ain't been doing the first dollar right. Because every time you work hard, you celebrating that brunch. You buying a new car. You getting some new rims. You buying some new clothes. You going on a trip. You turning up. That was supposed to happen last, but you do that thing first. And then, fear of missing out, some of y'all not even paying your bills right. You paying half your rent, half your mortgage, half your car note, robbing Peter to pay Paul just because you have mismanagement of your finances. So now that second dollar even going to fun. Because you didn't want to miss out. Well, my girls was going and I felt like, they came to my party, so I had to go too. Oh, I've heard this stuff in real life. And if it's you, I ain't telling your business. I didn't say your name. But if it's you, you should feel guilty of it, because you shouldn't be hurting financially if you just take care of your money right. It's not about how much you got. It's about what you do with what you got. First dollar should be invested. Second, take care of your responsibilities. Third one, you should go have some fun. Life is short. You got to go live your life. But we do it in backwards. We live in our life some more, then we realize, oh my God, I'm going to pay my bills. And then somewhere on the back end, that third dollar, what we typically do, we's like, well, let me go ahead and just pay these bills, and I guess I'll save a little something. I'll save a little something. And that's why constantly I keep on seeing young people die, older people die, and we're doing gun fund. We're doing I almost assume automatically when somebody died, where's the GoFundMe at? So I can go ahead and drop $100 towards black people because I love black people. So I'm not going to just get on them in that moment because at that point, the person's dead. So I can't criticize the fact that where was their life insurance at? Where was their policy at? It's like, well, they did now. Let's go ahead and drop $100, $200. Let's just give because we still have we have a responsibility to love one another and to do right by people. The Word of God does say that they'll know by the love you show, and part of that love sometimes is doing right by people, even when they haven't done right by themselves. Right? I won't continue to keep on doing that because death is final. I don't have to worry about keep on paying for that person. That's going to be the last time, maybe the first time. Oh, I saw the GoFundMe, then we give some money. I don't have to give that person no more money now going forward because they dead. So I have no problem giving to death. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it might sound morbid. It is what it is. But we do need to change our mindset. So yes, there's systematic racism. There's redlining. There's all kind of issues attacking a black America. And I really do mean attacking a black America. But in black America, we kind of self-cannibalize. And that's why we're going to talk about the prison system. We're going to talk about our infatuation with violent music and movies. We're going to talk about how we praise people that have been to jail, how families don't do right by one another. Oh, we're going to talk about all of that in the months and weeks to come because some of it is somebody else's fault. And then sometimes it's, what are you doing? So to cap it off, the conversation has been, is it us or is it them? And the answer is it's a little bit of both. But what are you going to do about it when we have to really settle the solution, right? So that's today's show. Before we leave, we always have announcements and all that, so let's do that real quick. If you wanted to know the source of some of this information, by the way, because I don't want y'all to think I was just talking out the side of my neck, you could go to usafacts.com. I'll pull information from Pew Research and also from Forbes magazine. That's in the SBA office. And the Office of Department of Labor. Pull some statistics from there. So the numbers you heard today wasn't one just speaking out the side of his neck. I pulled it from real places, and I'll give you the resources. You can go there, check it out, and you can see it for yourself. Don't believe me. Check it out for yourself. All right? Shout outs. One sad one I have to mention. This really hurt me and Katrina a lot. But shout out to Maya Hall. She passed away last weekend. Beautiful young lady, had a really sweet attitude. From what all I knew about her, she was trying her best to work hard. She has a son that's not even a year old. Didn't expect this individual to leave this earth so soon. Only 28 years old. Really sad. She was just a beautiful soul, but she passed away, and just not doing anything wrong. Just a hard worker. Just driving late at night, unfortunately. So prayers to the Hall family, her son. Shout out to her job, helping out with her funeral arrangements, people coming together to help someone who was really working hard and trying the best they can for themselves. So shout out to that young lady and her family. Prayers are with you. I hope you're looking down on us from heaven. But really sad thing that happened last weekend. That was really unfortunate information. Another shout out though, on a more positive note. Try to end things on the positive as much as possible. But that was really sad. On a positive note, yesterday was the 60th March in Washington. I saw, shout out to my man, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. He's at Vanderbilt now for all my Tennessee folks. He was out there with a white chair talking about us coming together. I thought no one is a better orator or speaker than Michael Eric Dyson, the Michael Eric Dyson. He's amazing. So shout out to him. Hopefully we'll be having him on the show soon. We've been in talks with him. He's a very busy man to pin down, but I respect it because he's doing the work. But had a chance to meet him over the summer. Some of you guys who follow me personally saw that I got a chance to post that picture. Sometimes it's not cool to meet your heroes, but in this case, it was a pleasure. He is everything advertised. I really enjoyed that. Also, some significant birthdays that came up. I know I'm not naming all the August birthdays. I'm just naming some of the highlight ones. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But number one, I got to shout out my nephew, Nazir. Nazir, I think it's Ezekiel. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Ezekiel Altar was just born this month. So shout out to my new nephew. Excited about that. I know Lauren's birthday is coming up. I think Lauren's birthday is this month or next month. So I think her birthday is coming up. I'll shout it out if I get it wrong. Shout out to two good friends of mine, Jerome Scott, Jason Carver. They had birthdays this month. And then shout out to my cousin Bill Thompson. He just hit the 40 club. Just hit the 40 club. So that's what's up. Anniversaries this month. There's a bunch of them, and I'll probably go through a lot of them next month or next week. I'll try to capture some of the August and September ones coming up. But anniversaries I wanted to shout out. Number one, Herman and Mamie Altar, 37 years of marriage. That's amazing. And shout out to our friends Mike and Chardonnay Roy. They're actually abroad. I won't say where, but they're abroad right now celebrating their anniversary. So congrats to you guys. I hope you guys are having a good time. Blessings to you. Once again, y'all know the Nitty Gritty Show. We're on Facebook, the Nitty Gritty Show. If you type in the Nitty Gritty Show, it'll come up. Sometimes you have to type in the whole thing, the Nitty Gritty Show 2017 will come up. We're on Instagram at the Nitty Gritty Show. We're on YouTube, the Nitty Gritty Show. If you're watching right now, you see us on YouTube because we only air live on YouTube now. And of course, we still have merch on teamlocker.com. That is teamlocker.squadlocker.com. And in the search, you type in the Nitty Gritty Show. You got to type in the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. And you will come up, and we got merch. We got partnership with all these really cool designers. Everything is made to order, so it takes a little while to get to you. The average shipping for that is about a month to 6 weeks, but it's because it's just smart business. Instead of just having a bunch of merch collected and trying to sell it out, it's all made to order, so therefore you get it. We get a small portion of the proceeds. That's dope. Oh, and Lauren's birthday was this month, right? So shout out to my niece Lauren. I thought I had 2 birthdays in August, family-wise. So Lauren's birthday. So I was right about that. That's what's up. So anyways, happy birthday to all of my lovely family. Once again, guys, thank you guys for watching the Nitty Gritty Show. If you like what you saw, tell your friends, your family about it. Let them know. Tune into the Nitty Gritty Show Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be on typically for about an hour because we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to give a lot of free information that might make some of you some money. And we're going to talk about the issues, and we're going to look to fix these things. One conversation at a time. All right? So, anyways, thank you guys for joining us. We are out. It's your boy I'm about to say my whole government. It's your boy JD Costa. I'm one half of the Nitty Gritty Show. Katniss is with us in spirit. We'll be back next. Oh no, sorry, we won't be back next Sunday. That's Labor Day. We got invited to a barbecue, so we about to barbecue. So there'll be no show Sunday, but you're gonna see a lot more content being posted, like on Facebook, stories, Instagram stories, and YouTube Shorts. And we'll be back that first week of September. Because we're not going to do a show on Labor Day, y'all. We're not going to do it. But we'll be back August 10th. Well, I'm sorry, September 10th with another show. All right, that's Sunday. So make sure you tell people to watch. So Bevan Seymour said, give us our moniker one more time. You can find us on at the Nitty Gritty Show 2017 on Facebook. Normally, if you type in the Nitty Gritty Show, it should come up. But we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram at the Nitty Gritty Show. Say the whole thing. YouTube. If you're watching this right now, you're on YouTube, so you see the Nitty Gritty Show. So make sure you follow us on all our platforms. If you're looking at the screen, I actually have it all listed right there as well. Our Facebook, our YouTube, all that information is right there, right here at the bottom of the screen. You can see our stuff. And then here in the corner, you got our Cash App. You know, throw us $1, $5, help us pay for all these subscriptions we have so that we can go live like this. You know, I'll take 50 cents. I'm just saying, I'm not too proud to beg, y'all. So anyways, once again, thank you guys for watching the Nitty Gritty Show. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys September 10th. Be blessed. Peace and a bottle of hair grease. We are out of here.